An American spy is in Soviet Russia, digging up information on a powerful Russian politician. He finds him in a bar, walks in, dressed in Russian attire, pretending to be Russian. Everybody in the bar looks at him, but he keeps his cool. He orders a drink and walks to the politician. "Greetings, comrade," says the spy. But before he could finish his sentence, the Russian says, "I think you are American spy." The spy is alarmed, but being a skilled, trained spy, he says, "That isn't true. I am the proudest Soviet there is. I can sing the anthem more beautifully than any other man in the country." He then proceeds to sing the Soviet anthem, so melodically and beautifully that everybody in the bar cheers. Very good, says the politician. "But I still think you are spy." The man continues to keep his cool. "I am a historian. I can tell you everything about this glorious country." He then spends about 2 hours recounting the revolution, the Great Patriotic War, about how superior to the Russia is in terms of technology compared to America, and makes a great argument about how communism is beneficial to society. Amazing. "You are skilled," says the politician. The spy smirks. "But I still think you American spy." The spy is getting frustrated, but still unfazed. He replies, "I am good drinker, a true Russian. Let us drink and see who can come out top." The bar turns its attention to the politician and the spy, who are now in a drinking contest. The bartender serves drink after drink of vodka. After about an hour of drinking, the politician nearly passes out, unable to hold as much liquor as the spy, to a resounding cheer amongst the bar. In the midst of the cheering, the Russian politician gets up, smiling, and in a slurred speech, repeats, "You are good, you are good. But I still think you are spy." The American spy, pissed drunk, loses his skill and gives up. "Okay, you got me. I am an American. But what made you think that way?" After all this time, the Russian politician replies, "There aren't many black people in Russia." An American politician invites an Indian minister to his home. The AP shows the Indian minister his Rolls Royce. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he asks the minister. Yes, it is. Want to know how I could afford to buy it?" The AP points in a direction. "You see that bridge over there? 5% of its building funds went into my pockets." The minister just nods. A few weeks later, the minister invites the AP to his home for a party. Upon reaching the minister's home, the AP was surprised at how grand it was. It was a royal-looking mansion. He asks the minister, "Where did you get the money to buy it from?" The minister takes him outside and points in a direction and says, "You see that bridge over there?" The AP replies, "What bridge?" A politician dies, and ends up at the pearly gates. Peter looks at him and finds his name in his book. "So, you're a politician. Where's your book? Well, yes." "Is there a problem?" "Oh, no. There is no problem. But we have a policy for people in your profession. You have to spend a day each in heaven and hell, and then you will be free to choose where you want to spend the rest of eternity." "Why can't I choose now? Why do I have to spend a day in hell?" "Well, that is the policy. First, the politician spends a day in heaven. He sees angels singing and people playing harps. He finds heaven very boring for him. Next, he spends a day in hell. Upon arriving there, he expects to see barren wastelands with rivers of lava and people being boiled alive, but instead sees lush greenery and a large 5-star hotel in front of him. At the hotel entrance, he sees Satan wearing a tuxedo and sipping on a martini. This isn't what I expected hell to be. Oh, hell has been completely misrepresented. We have a luxury 5-star hotel with 7-course meals prepared by the best chefs. And we have all the sporting facilities you could imagine with a very large pool. All this is for free. So, the politician spends the entire day playing golf and eating his meals by the poolside. At the end of the day, he sleeps in the most luxurious bed he could imagine in a very large suite. The next morning, when he wakes up, he is back at the pearly gates where St. Peter is waiting for him. So what will it be? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I prefer hell So, the politician is transported back to hell, where he sees a barren wasteland illuminated only by the glow of rivers of lava, and hears the screams of people being tortured. The air is full of the stench of sulfur. Once again, he sees Satan in his tux. What happened to the hotel, the golf course, the pool, and all the greenery I saw yesterday? Well, yesterday we were campaigning. Today, you voted. A politician dies. Instead of going straight to heaven or hell, a spirit appears to him. The spirit tells him that, rather than being judged for his sins, he gets to choose whether he goes to heaven or hell. The politician replies that of course he wants to go to heaven. The spirit tells him that before he chooses, he has to visit both places so each one will get a fair chance. First, they visit heaven. It looks pretty nice. Big fluffy clouds, angels singing and playing harps, everyone seeming to enjoy themselves. The politician is pleased, if a bit underwhelmed. Hell, on the other hand, is magnificent. It's the most beautiful place the politician has ever seen, and everyone there is having the time of their lives. It has a buffet table filled with delicious-smelling food, a beautiful garden, a pool with a water slide, a dance floor, a massage parlor, and innumerable other attractions. It makes heaven look dull and boring and comparison. I can't believe I'm saying this, says the politician. But I think I'd rather go to hell very well, says the spirit. Turn around. When the politician turns around, though, hell appears to be completely different than it had been less than a minute ago. All of the attractions are gone. Everything is on fire, and the people are screaming in agony. I don't understand, cries the politician. This isn't what you showed me before. Well, that was the campaign, replies the spirit. Now you've voted. NASA was interviewing professionals to be sent to Mars. Only one could go, and he couldn't return to Earth. The first applicant, an engineer, was asked how much he wanted to be paid for going. $1 million, he answered, because I want to donate it to to one. The next applicant, a doctor, was asked the same question. He asked for $2 million. I want to give $1 million to my family, so he explained, and leave the other $1 million for the advancement of medical research. The last applicant was a politician. When asked how much money he wanted, he whispered in the interviewer's ear, $3 million. Why so much more than the others? The interviewer asked. The politician replied, if you give me $3 million, I'll give you $1 million. I'll keep $1 million and we'll send the engineer if... A politician dies, so a politician dies and ends up standing in front of the pearly gates. St. Peter looks at him for a second, flicks through his book, and finds his name. So, you're a politician, Well, yes. Is that a problem? Oh no, no problem. But we've recently adopted a new system for people in your line of work. And unfortunately, you will have to spend a day in hell. After that, however, you're free to choose where you want to spend eternity. Wait. I have to spend a day in hell, says the politician. Them's the rules, says St. Peter, clicks his fingers, and whoomp, the guy disappears. And awakes, curled up with his hands over his eyes, knowing he's in hell. Cautiously, he listens for the screams, sniffs the air for brimstone, and finds nothing. Just the smell of, is that fabric softener and cut grass. This can't be right. Open your eyes, says a voice. Come on. Wakey, wakey. We've only got 24 hours. Nervously, he uncovers his eyes, looks around, and sees he's in a hotel room. A nice one, too. Wait, this is a penthouse suite. And there's a smiling man in a suit, holding a martini. Who are you? The politician asks. Well, I'm Satan, says the man, handing him the drink and helping him to his feet. Welcome to hell. Wait, this is hell? But where's all the pain and suffering, he asks. Satan throws him a wink. Oh, we've been a bit misrepresented over the years. It's a long story. Anyway, this is your room. The minibar is of course free, as is the room service. There's extra towels next to the hot tub, and if you need anything, just call reception. But enough of this. It's a beautiful day, and if you'd care to look outside. Slightly stunned by the opulent surroundings, the man wanders over to the floor-to-ceiling windows through which the sun is glowing, looks far down, and sees a group of people cheering and waving at him from a golf course. It's one of 5 pro-level courses on site, and there's another 6 just a few minutes' drive out past the beach and harbor, says Satan, answering his unasked question. So, they head down in the lift, walk out through the glittering lobby where everyone waves and welcomes the man, as Satan signs autographs and charily talks shop with the laughing staff. And as he walks out, he sees the group on the golf course are made up of every one of his old friends, people he's admired for years but never met or worked with, and people whose work he's admired but died long before his career started. And out of the middle of this group walks his wife, with a massive smile and the body she had when she was 20, who throws her arms around him and plants a delicate kiss on his cheek. Everyone cheers and applauds. And as they slap him on the back and trade jokes, his worst enemy arrives, as a 2-foot-tall, goblin-esque caddy. He spends the day in the bright sunshine on the course, having the time of his life laughing at jokes and carrying important discussions, putting the world to rights with his friends while holding his delighted wife next to him as she gazes lovingly at him. Later, they return to the hotel for dinner and have an enormous meal, perfectly cooked, which descends into a food fight when someone accidentally throws a bread roll at the next table, where Gandhi is having a game of truth or dare with Marilyn Monroe. As everyone is falling about, laughing and flinging breadsticks at each other, his wife whispers in his ear, "Upalpun!" And they return to their penthouse suite and spend the rest of the night making love like they did on their honeymoon. After 6 hours of intense passion, the man falls deep into the 100% Egyptian cotton pillows and falls into a deep and happy sleep, and is woken up by St. Peter. So, that was hell. Wasn't what you were expecting? I bet. No, sir, says the man. So then, says St. Peter, you can make your choice. It's hell, which you saw, or heaven, which has choral singing, talking to God, white robes, and so on. Well, I know this sounds strange, but on balance, I think I'd prefer hell, says the politician. Not a problem. We totally understand and enjoy, says St. Peter, and clicks his fingers again. The man wakes up in total darkness, the stench of ammonia filling the air, and distant screams the only noise. As he adjusts, he can see the only light is from belches of flame far away, illuminating the ragged remains of people being tortured or burning in a sulphurous ocean. A sudden bolt of lightning reveals Satan next to him, wearing the same suit as before, and grinning, holding a soldering iron in one hand and a coil of razor wire in the other. "What's this?" he cries. "Where's the hotel? Where's my wife? Where's the minibar? The golf courses, the pool, the restaurant, the free drinks, and the sunshine. Ah, says Satan. You see, yesterday, we were campaigning. But today, you voted. Gehuifa. An American politician and a Russian politician are walking next to a river. The American points to a bridge and says, "See that bridge? I campaigned for that bridge, chose the construction company, and even arranged for the funds for it to be built." The American then pats his pocket and says, "Of course, I took a portion off the top for myself." And the two men laugh. Later, the American politician and Russian politician are walking along a river in Russia. The Russian points across the river and says, "See that bridge? I campaigned for that bridge, chose the construction company, and even arranged for the funds for it to be built." The American looks across the river, then looks at the Russian and says, "What bridge? I don't see any bridge." The Russian politician pats his pocket and laughs. Post-tortoise politician, while stitching a cut on the hand of a 75-year-old farmer, the doctor struck up a conversation with the old man. Eventually, the topic got around to politicians and their role as our leaders. The old farmer said, "Well, as I see it, most politicians are post-tortoises." Not being familiar with the term, the doctor asked him what a post-tortoise was. The old farmer said, "When you're driving down a country road and you come across a fence post with a tortoise balanced on top, that's a post-tortoise." The old farmer saw the puzzled look on the doctor's face, so he continued to explain. "You know, he didn't get up there by himself. He doesn't belong up there. He doesn't know what to do while he's up there. He's elevated beyond his ability to function. And you just wonder what kind of dumb arse put him up there to begin with."